Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard.
Here's the question that a lot of guys have when they don't understand women and they're very uncertain about how women function, right? The question becomes, are women worth the effort? And so this guy wrote me where his first sentence was, women just aren't worth the effort. And so I have found that the only men that say this are men that just haven't figured out women. And I get it because in my 20s, I was that guy. And I was trying to go out there and date and go out there and date and go out there and date. And I'd get dates. And then I'd lose that woman. And then I'd date another, I'd lose that woman. And if you're doing the same things over and over again and getting the same negative result, it is very easy to see why you'd say women aren't worth the effort, because you're doing the same thing every single time, expecting a different result. And when it doesn't happen, it goes from like, oh, dating could be fun to I could potentially get sex to like, I'm not having fun. I'm not getting any sex. And the more I put myself out there, I keep getting kicked down every single time. And you know what? It's just not worth it. So I get where that mindset comes from, because if you have a playbook in your head that is the wrong playbook, but you keep using it, is it any wonder why you'd say women are not worth the effort? Hey, women are, from a guy's perspective, women can be hard to understand. They can be hard to figure out why they say one thing and mean another thing. You're going great with a woman on one time, and the next time she doesn't want to talk to you anymore, or things are going great for like 2 weeks straight. She's texting you every day. You're texting her every day. And all of a sudden, all that effort you put into texting, she doesn't want to answer you anymore. She doesn't want to say yes to dates. Like, I get it. All that can be frustrating. And guys are like, women don't make sense. I can assure you, I've been studying women for a long time now. Women absolutely 100% can make sense if you put the work in, and it doesn't take that long. So I wrote back to this guy and said, there's always the option of staying single, turning gay, or letting your hand become your best friend. Otherwise, you got to figure women out. For all you guys that complain about women don't make sense and they just need to do X, Y, and Z, the reality is, just like we're born the way we're born, we're born with a certain set of chemicals. We're born liking the things that we like. We are born with a certain thought process that we have. And you know, to be fair, our environment's gonna inform some of that. I grew up around a lot of women, so I've kind of been able to grow up knowing a lot more womanese than maybe some other guys had that grew up around mostly dudes or didn't really pay attention to women or kind of brushed them off. So, but even with me growing up around women, they still think differently. The things that upset them would not ever upset us in a million years. The things that they think we should care about and get emotional about, we don't. So you got to understand, just like the way that we are born, we don't want women complaining about us and ragging on us. They don't want that from us either. They want us to understand them just like we want them to understand us. But the problem most guys have is after a couple of years of bad dates or whatever, it's like, oh, these women are crazy. And they're looking to like, but wait, rather than saying she's crazy, the fact that I've dated 6 women now that have all reacted to this way, this thing in the same way, or said this thing to me when I said this thing, or dumped me for doing this thing I didn't know what I was doing, it all seems pretty consistent. So if there's a consistency there, that means that on some level, however they're operating has to make sense. I just have to figure out the reasoning behind why it makes sense. And I have found that once I get an understanding of why it is that women are acting the way that they do, I become less frustrated. Like, I don't have to get it. I just have to understand it enough to know, okay, that's how they operate. I don't know why, if I wait 4 days between dates to text women, that I get better results and more dates back. I don't know. All I know is that when I was texting them every single day, after the second week, there's burnout. Versus if I don't do that, then they want to stay around longer. Is it frustrating that I can't just contact them every day once I know that I like them? It absolutely is. Do I care if that frustrates me, or do I care that I understand why it doesn't work and then do something different that does work? That's what I care about. And I think most guys, they get to a point where like they're so wanting the thing that they're doing to have to work, versus I tell them, hey, do this thing and it'll work. Oh, but that's stupid. But that's game playing. But that's what they need you to be able to be attracted to you. But I don't want to do that. Okay, you can be mad. You're going to continue to put forth effort and not be happy about it. I just chose not to do that. And I get better results. So then he said the main part. He says, I'm 40 and so sick of dating. Women are just complete flakes with no character or accountability. Well, we have to pause on that, because women only flake, and women only flake when they're not interested in a guy, or if a guy that they were once interested in unknowingly started doing things that made her start to get the ick and want to back away. If you knew the things that caused the ick and make women back away and did not do those things, then the woman would have stuck around and you wouldn't be complaining that she flaked, because she wouldn't have flaked. But this is what guys don't get, is that women aren't going on dates thinking, man, I want to flake on this guy. They're thinking they want to legitimately see the guy, Guys aren't aware they're doing things that make women get the ick or cause them to be less attracted. And the next thing you know, the guy's like, oh, they're just all complete flakes. Are they though? Because I've only had one flake in the last like 15 years of dating. And even that one, we had a first date and then she flaked on the second one. But like most girls I've dated across the board have not flaked. But I also know what to do on dates. I know how to ask for dates. I know how to present myself on dates. I know the cycle and process of dating that's most effective for women to be attracted to me. So I don't get flakes as a result of that. If you don't know that, then that is something you can learn so it won't happen anymore. And then as for no character accountability, hey, there are also men that have no character and don't have accountability. This is the men's show. We're talking about women. So in terms of the women, there are some that have no character, but what most guys will say is because she flaked on me or because she wouldn't outright tell me that she didn't like me anymore, that she has no character. But if all women across the board typically act like that, then there's something to be said about why it is they do that action. I did a whole show this past week talking about the fact that women usually back away and ghost because the first few times that they start dating, when they just outright tell a guy, I'm not interested, they find men continue to pester them for dates. So therefore, they just learn, okay, I need to just back away and hope that he gets it because most guys aren't going to listen. We don't take into account the history that they've had dating. We just assume they came to us and just magically decided to have no character and no accountability, and they're crazy. That's not typically how this works. But anyway, he says, his story is, I met a girl who really knocked my socks off last month. I live in Boston. She lives in New York. So there was 2 weeks before our first and second dates, and we did our third date the next night after our second date. So again, keep in mind, he's saying women aren't worth the effort, but you have to look at it as a guy, what efforts are you putting in? And are they the kind of efforts that are going to get you back the results that you want? So I've done this show enough times, guys. Let's ask the question. Is a guy doing a long distance dating situation, putting in effort that's going to get him back the results he wants? I have found more often than not, if you're doing long distance dating, it's going to be a lot of frustration. It's going to be a lot of cancel plans at the last minute. And ultimately, more often than not, it's not going to work out unless one of you guys move towards the other person. But that doesn't typically happen until you've known somebody for a while. So he's already setting himself up to later be frustrated at the effort he's currently putting forth. That's his fault. And then also him saying, so it was 2 weeks before their first and second dates. And then he went on a second date with her. And then the next night went on a third date. I've talked about on the show before how you should only be seeing a woman once, maybe twice a week at most in the beginning. And it shouldn't be day after day. It should be like, if you're going to do it, like take out on a Monday and then a Thursday, you going Monday and then Tuesday, that effort is going to more often than not result in her getting burned out by you so early on and wanting to not date you anymore. So he's saying women aren't worth the effort, but the effort he's putting in are not the kinds of efforts that are going to get him the results he actually wants. If you keep wasting your energy doing those kinds of things, is it any wonder you'd be frustrated? So then he says, after our third date, I stupidly told her I liked her and that I had a bit of anxiety that she'd forget about me until the next time I was back in New York City. So let's look at this effort here. He told her his feelings. And then not only that, he said, and by the way, I get anxious that I'm basically not good enough for you to remember. Are either of these versions of effort going to result in a positive result? Well, as I've said before, guys, it doesn't matter what your feelings are for her, because as guys, we're going to have lustful feelings for them and trick our brains into thinking they're lovey-dovey feelings and romantic relationship feelings for them after like 2 or 3 good dates, a couple of good conversations and a hookup, right? So we're guys internally are on the three date plan. 3 dates in, I know I like her, we should be in something. Women are on a 3-month plan. So of the two of you, you are not the one that can come to her and tell her feelings, because your 3-date journey ends with you already having all the feels. But her journey is 3 months. So at 3 dates in, she's not going to understand how you already have all these feelings for her after only spending what amounts to like, realistically, like 6 to 9 hours with her. 6 to 9 hours with her, right? And that's what guys don't get. We're trying to be honest with our feelings, and we should be able to tell women whatever. You're telling them all this stuff based on a 3-date timeline to a person that needs 3 months. Is it any wonder that effort is not going to be wasted, because she doesn't care how you feel. She cares about getting to where she feels good enough about you to be able to express her feelings to you. That's why I tell you guys, you cannot dump your feelings on a woman. I don't care if you've been in for 2 months. Hey, it's been 2 months. I just want you to know I really like you and I care about you. I can see a future. If she's not there, it doesn't matter. The only way you know if she's there is if she comes to you. And when women get to that point, they cannot help but do all the things to come to you, to let you know that they care about you, that they want you, and that you actually be in a relationship. But most guys don't get to that point because they haven't experienced that. So I can't even fault guys, because at one point, before I got into my first relationship, I was like, how does this happen? Like, okay, it's been like a month and a half. Things been going good. I don't think she's dating anybody else, but I'm anxious because I don't know what she wants. Like, does she want a relationship? Are we just playing around? Like, I gotta know. Versus now I'm a guy that's like, look, if this goes like 3 months, 5 months, as long as she's showing up, I'm good. Oh, she's still hooking up with me, but it's not called a relationship, but I'm getting the hookup. Okay, I'm good. She'll come to me eventually. And then I found having that attitude, they come to me. Usually I find they come to me within a span of like a month and a half to 2 months saying, hey, Harry, so are you seeing anybody else? Oh, I'm not seeing anybody else. Are you still in the dating apps? Like, how do you feel about, like, they're asking me all the questions. Why? Because they can't understand how I'm now seeing them all this time and not asking the question, but they like me so much that they want to have their fears like reassured that I like them. And they know I'm not giving up the game. They got to come to me. And then they come up to me. So, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I'm not seeing anybody else right now. Oh, how do I feel about you? Oh, I mean, how do you feel about me? Oh, okay, well, like it's all questions. But I make sure I get it out of her first before I'm saying things. And so if you're not used to that, though, you haven't seen that part of the process. You have to learn the idea that if everything you're doing right now is not working, it means that you're not going far enough along in the process before you start trying to bring up questions of feelings in a relationship. And you shouldn't be bringing it up. You should let her bring it up. So you should the next girl you date, whatever you're doing, right? Practice these things. Practice not telling your feelings. Practice only seeing her once a week unless she suggests otherwise. And practice seeing how long you can go without calling this thing a relationship. Like, make it a game. Hey, you lasted a month and a half with the last girl. She dumped you. Great, fine. This next one, the goal is 3 months. See if you can get to 3 months without you calling this a relationship. I guarantee you will find after like 2 and 2.5 months, she will come to you. Hey, so what are we? And you're going to be like, oh, darn it, Harry was right. Okay. But he said, I can't be the one to call it a relationship first. Well, what do you want to call it? Well, we should call it a relationship. I didn't call it that. I win. It really is that simple. Anyway, he says, so he told her he liked her and he had a bit of anxiety, which also, guys, don't tell women your fears. Don't tell women that you're anxious around them or that you're nervous, because I did a video where I showed a bunch of women that were like putting up cameras really high up for like guys that are 6 feet. They're like, I'm a 5'2" girl. What do I look like to a guy who's 6 feet tall? And they put it up there. And the first thing they were all saying were like, oh my God, I'm like a child. Exactly. So you got to think, most women you're going to probably date are probably shorter than you. So you have this shorter being who's like 5'4", and she's by her height already looking up to you. And then what you're going to do is verbalize something that makes her look down on you. She don't want to do that. So stop telling women about your fears or anxiety or how you get nervous around them or how, oh my God, I'm an introvert and I can't figure out how to talk to women. Women don't want to hear that. It does not endear them to you. Movies have lied to you. Movies will be like, a guy will go up to a girl, just so you know, I'm really nervous because you're so pretty. And then she's like, oh, that's okay. I'll teach you how to love me. That's not how love or dating actually works. Okay. So please stop doing this. So he did all that stuff. What happened? Her interest level went from a 9 to a 1 overnight. Texts got more and more infrequent until last weekend when I went to New York City specifically. She canceled our date at the last minute with no explanation and stopped replying to text. Take it from me, guys. Never, ever tell a girl you like her ever. I'm really kicking myself. It's not often I meet someone who I really have a connection with. And you know what, guy? I told the guy, I said, hey, you know what? That's fine. Like, I get it. You know, you're 40 years old and you're just not figuring this out. But I said, but that's exactly why women are worth the effort. Because you see, I've been studying women since I started reading books on how to date back in my teen years when I was reading like Christian books on why to stay abstinent and the way girls want to date. Spoiler, most of those books will not get you women. It turns you into a pansy that women then don't want to date because they actually do want a guy that's a little on the edge or a guy that at the very least isn't afraid of sex, you know? But suffice to say, because I started studying this stuff early and then really get into the really deep dives of what actually works in my 20s, I knew if I did that stuff in my 20s, by my late 20s, early 30s, I would know how to date without being so nervous. And so because I put forth the right effort by studying women and not just trying to say they're all crazy, but actually, okay, I say they're crazy, but they all act the same. So there must be a logic to what's actually going on. And then studying that, the end result of that effort is in my 30s, I had a great ride, a great bunch of dates and hookups and all other stuff, right? But that's because I put the right effort forward. So I said to this guy, hey, this is why you need to put effort forward. If you just start studying now, watch my videos, read other people's stuff, really study up on the ins and outs of how women think about things and how they work, then you won't make mistakes like going on multiple dates in the same week, or dating a girl that's long distance, or telling a woman that you like her, or telling her that you're nervous around her. Like, you wouldn't make those mistakes if you'd already studied up on, these are not things that women actually find attractive. So really putting your brain and mind and effort into studying up on how women function, treat it like a class, treat it like a college course. 101, what women want, how to study them, womanese, all that stuff. I studied all these things in my early 20s to mid 20s, and it's helped me immensely throughout my dating life, even up to this day, you know? And so this is why I say, when you say things like women aren't worth the effort, the question then becomes, what are the efforts you're putting forth that are giving you the results you are getting right now that you don't like? And could there be other efforts that would be more better for you to do, basically, that would get you the results that you want? And if you're honest with yourself, the fact that, and this is how it got to me, right? I would be like, girls don't date me, girls don't like me, blah, blah, blah. And then I'd see a girl that I liked get with another guy that, if I'm comparing both of us, dude looks almost or near exactly like me, talks like me, has the same kind of humor like me. What was it about that dude that could get the girl I wanted and I couldn't do it? And that's when I look at like, oh crap, it could be some of the efforts I'm putting forth aren't actually working, because that guy looks just like me and was able to get her, but somehow I was just off a bit and I couldn't figure out what it was. And once I was able to drop my ego and say, okay, I am a great guy as I am, but let's be honest, as I am right now, I'm not getting girls. So there's got to be other things I can add to my efforts, or I can remove from my efforts that are going to get me better results. Once I was able to put my ego down and start looking those things up, that's exactly what happened. So the same is true for you guys. If you're thinking women aren't worth the effort, look at the effort you're putting forth. Look at other guys around you that I can assure you, there are guys that look just like you or act like you or have the same likes and dislikes as you that are getting women. It's not about women being hard to get. It's about the fact that your effort isn't currently getting you the results, but there could be better efforts. If you need help with that, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, click on the coaching tab, click on the products tab, or just watch any one of my 800 videos on this channel to start figuring the ins and outs of what you're doing wrong, what could be improved, and what you can add to your repertoire to get better results with your efforts, you know? So hopefully, guys, this helps you out, but thank you for having that conversation with me in the comment section of my videos, all right?
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man.